Hello everyone, welcome back to IT Pasanga. In this demo, we are going to learn more about Postman. So we will go deep dive into Postman. So the things that we are going to learn: collections, how do we can add authorization for a collection, how we can handle variables inside a collection, and how we can do testing and so on. All right. So in last demo, I will provide the link here. You can find. So we have seen a basic introduction about the Postman, how to create a sample test. That means simply how we can do a testing in Postman. So a quick test. So if you want to test something quickly, you can use how we can test that. But in case if you want to have a reshareable testing collections, okay, so that means if you want to test something and you need to share that with your team members, then again, because again they don't need to recreate it again. So if you want to share that among your team and you can keep it for a record and you want to do it for the testing and continuous testing and reusable testing, so these are the main goal of using Postman instead of Swagger UI. So that's, we'll see how we can do. For that we have to create the collection first. So if let me tell me something about the UI first. So you can here see, you can see home, workspaces. So workspace is the one where our main select environment. It's kind of for example, assume that you are working for an open source project and you are working in your personal laptop. You are working, you are doing the office work as well, for assumption. So you don't want to mix them all, right? So your individual project, you may have a open source project, you may do your office works at your laptop. So you can create different workspaces and you don't want to share something with others, you want to keep it with you only. You can create a separate workspace and you can keep it with you. You can create a personal workspace, or else if you want to share everything inside a workspace to someone, you can create a workspace and you can share with others. All right, let me show something. When you're creating the workspace, it will ask some details. So only me or with someone, that me invited people or everyone in my team, and you have to create a team like that, anyone on the internet, so you can share it to the whole world. So these are the options also available. So that is the workspace. So this is API networks. This is, we will do more in the future. That means we create a network APIs in a network and share with others. So in this demo, so we are going to work on a collections mostly. So particular workspace, for an example, your organization, you are creating a workspace that you can share with many people among your, including your teammates. Or else inside a workspace, you don't want to share everything with everyone. So you have in your organization, you have different team for different project. So if you share with everyone, then we can't have a record what kind of APIs that even you sharing with everyone, that may be a problem, right? So if you want to see, so only particular people, so if you want to share some project related stuff with the people only. For example, you are you are working in different team, you may be lead of some many teams. So then you can create collections. For an example, you have a mobile application, for that you can have a collection. You have a web application team, or else there are two different projects, so you can create two different collection for those two different teams. So let me show you how we can create a connection. And for a best practice, so since we have defined the workspaces earlier, let's assume you have selected a workspace for your organization, that you have done. So I have created a workspace on term demo workspace. Mostly it is one time creation. Let's when you working for a company, initially they may create a workspace for you by using the office email and all, but the collection may be created by you whenever required. Alright, so let's create a collection. So you have to click this new button, then you have to select the collection. The collection, you have to give a name for that. I'm going to give a project name. So this is event scheduler API. So let's put event API or events API collection. I would like to have a meaning with the definitions. Collection also I have included. It's up to you. Once you created a collection, you will have some options: authorization, script, variable, runs. So by using run, you can run these tests. So if you created a test or scripts, you can run it for a particular time period or scheduled period, or we can do many automated system that we look after these variables that can be created and shared with others. The authorization is the one main. So we know that our application enabled with GWT token authorization. So what we have to do is earlier discussion, we have seen that. So each request we have to add the authorization manually, right? So each request we should add authorization separately. But if you have a collection, and in the collection properties itself, if you add authorization, then by default all the requests inside that particular collection will be authorized from the inherited authorization from the collection. Let me show you how to do. Before that, we have to first take the token, and that should be included to our collection. Okay, so make sure that in case of changing the token, we know that most of the time the token will have an expiry time and duration that should be changed frequently. But the main concern here, you have to just call that authentication API for a one time for a particular time period, and you have to just paste that token into your collection authorization area. Then it will be consumed during the whole time of that valid period of that particular token. Let's call this authorization uh, authentication endpoint. We know that username and password has added, so we have to select the row and JSON. This is very must. Okay, so you have to, because we are providing a raw data, not a form data or binary or GraphQL. So and you have to select this any this kind of, but here we are passing in a JSON format, not other format. Make sure this. And main concern, make sure that our app is running. So my app is running, and for my Mac OS I'm running a SQL Server image on Docker. So these things should run, and your app is running, everything is running. Let's send this request. We got the token. You see this pretty looks nice. We got the token. We have to go to our collection, and the authorization area we have to get that bearer token. Alright, we have added the authorization token here. We just save it, and we can create variable that can be shared among the all kind of URL. Before that, let's see creating a request. And see, you can create the request by clicking collection add request, or else you can click the here this option to create add request. So let's show you how to add request. So this particular request under the our new collection, so we have to call all events. So let me copy that URL earlier what we have added. So here new request under the collection, Let's paste it. Let's run and see. So you may see nothing is here, authorization, and let me share with you. Alright, our API authenticated and we got the response. How? We haven't manually add the authorization here, but we have select option called inherit auth from parent. The parent is our particular collection. Okay, this collection, since this collection contain the definition for authorization, it contain bearer token. All the all the request under this particular collection will have that capable to handle that. This authorization header will be automatically generated from your request. Because if you select other option, no auth, you won't get the word response. And if you select bearer token separately, you have to provide it manually. That's it. Okay, inherit from parents. So if you click that, it will be work. And make sure that imagine that, as I mentioned earlier, we have to have a situation that we have to share our collection with someone, with our teammates. In that kind of scenario, you know, right, our application may run on different port. Assume that in my PC now it is running on 7130 port. In case any other API project also runs, so what we have to do is, it by default it will change, or manually we have to change our running portal, maybe inside the launch setting. So we have to define that running URL port. Okay, so in 130, and likewise we have to define it. All right, based on our request. This is a usual practice when we have to run many application in on a same PC. We have to change the URL. But as I mentioned earlier, we have to share our collection, right? So when we sharing, that new users PC may project may run on different environment, that means different port. That time they have to manually change the URL every time when they send the request. To reduce this headache, so therefore our collection, we can have option called variable. There we can define our base URL, and that can be changed in one place and consume it during all the our sub request. For an example, let me add a variable called base URL. And I am adding our current value as a base URL with API slash. So you can add that API with this or without this, it's up to you, because I'm very lazy to type, therefore I just include the API as well. So initial value and current value. That means, so now we have added base URL and localhost 37130. So 7130 slash API is our initial value. What does it mean? Initial and current value. Think about a scenario. You just created this variable and you share this with your team. Alright, but if you want to have some value individually to you, you can add that inside the current value. For an example, in your case you have to run this project on different port, but most of your team will using a hosted one. Alright, so assume that everyone using a staging environment and the HTTPS staging URL slash API. So when you share that URL, then everyone will get the same URL and they will use. That will be initial URL. But for you personally, you just wanted to use a different port. Maybe you are using, because you are a developer, you are using a local host. You can add that inside the current value. When you share it, they will able to share the use the initial value that you mentioned in here. Okay, so make sure that when you share in this collection to someone else, put a common value that everyone need to use the variable value inside the initial value. If you want to use something relevant to you personally, you want to use something, you can put it inside the current value. In this scenario, we just have only one environment and one you are only using personally, and you can put 7130. it may be another scenario when your PC running on different port, as I mentioned earlier. So you are running by default 730 is the default port, but your PC you are running it on different port. But that time what you can do is you can put 7130 here, and if you are running on different port you can add that port number here, because you only using this, because others using 7130 by 0 default, you can add that. So then they can run simply importing that collection. They don't need to do any changes, they can simply run it. All right, so now we have added base URL. You can here from here itself we can set as variable. So I just want to show how to do it. Alright, so now we have added the base URL. So here what we have to do is just we have to replace that with the curly braces. When you type, see, that's it. Let's try it. Base URL API not found. Why? HTTPS localhost. Yeah, all right. Okay. You know what I mistake? Because what I made a mistake is when I'm adding the URL here, I added the slash here as well. So make sure you put this without slash, because let me show you. This is it's up to you. For me, for to have a readability, I just having like this slash API, because then when you add this URL, you have simply add the slash here, because that can differentiate the variable and your hard-coded events endpoints. All right, so this kind of mistakes makes you more get more idea about this. I just wanted to rename this particular method, so forgot about this collection. So here I just want to get all events. Okay, all right, now I have created a variable, and we have enabled authorization here, and for our collection, and we have created a variable, and we have used that variable for our base URL. Let's try to duplicate this, or let's try to create another request. This time we are going to call a different endpoint, maybe post event. Okay, so I think already have. So this is that URL. I hope you can follow up with me. So go get all events copy. So here I will just wanted to replace this with the base URL. And it should be post events, and body is just copying this one. And let's remove this, otherwise it will be confusion. Delete also, will close it. It asks for a save, or either you wanted to close it without saving. So in here is our save an event. I just saving. So if you see authorization inherit from auth from parent, that means from the collection, headers we haven't anything manually. In the body row JSON. All right, let's paste it. My event description. My event description and other things I made it as default values. Script and setting will do get later. Alright, so now we post it. Okay, good. So all good. Now we have created a get request and the post request under one collection, and we have seen authorization and how we can add a variable from a collection and how we can use it and how to use initial values and current values for particular variable. And in upcoming no, that's all about now. So now we are going to learn about the testing. Okay, now we can add test for a collection. So you can see response time is less than 200. So we are adding this testing scenario. So and also we are adding status code 200. So if this first one is the response time is less than 200 milliseconds, it will be success. Let's add this, and if the status code is 200, that is okay, then you have to, the test will be passed. Let's save and run it. Run this collection and see. But we need to run by one individually first. Okay, let's run this. So we have just call our API, because first we run by one individual in request that we done here, then we see for collection. Okay, we should, because then we should have idea why we are adding a collection for test. Okay, test for collection. So now if you see, when you run the call API, since you added a script for your collection, so when you add when you run particular any single request inside this collection, that will be applied to the collection and the individual part request. So since you have added two test script inside the collection, when you run a sub request inside the collection, you will get the test results. So when you run this get all events, you can see cookies, headers, and test results. The test results you can see passed, because our status code is 200, then this is success. Response time is less than 200 milliseconds. Our one is 53 milliseconds. Okay, so that is one thing. Let's get some negative response. Response time is our one is 53. So let's put some, I think it may sometime change. 20 milliseconds, and this is the description. Okay, this is the response time. It's a just a text want to print, and that's we put like that. And response time logic we have added here. Let's run this, save it, and run for that particular events. All right, so here you can see so we can see the test durations. So how long today 9:36 we have get this record, and 9:21 we got 404. Likewise we can see the API call history, and the testing API endpoint one, testing your API one by one, run your entire collection. Yeah, that's what we are going to see next. So how we can run all the script at one shot. So now we are looking at, so we have added one scenario like response time is less than 20 milliseconds, it should be passed, but our one is 69 milliseconds, and that test results like this. I said that asserts an error that if you use with unit test like x unit or n unit, you may familiar this one. Expected output is uh, expected is 20, but output is 69. Expected 69 to be below 20, and status code is 200 since we have it successfully. Now let's run this collection and see. So we can add many tests as we want, and if you want it run for all the requests inside the collection, or do you want to select some particular collection request, it's up to you. You can select that as well, and select all, deselect all, and run manually, schedule run, automatically run via CLI. So run manually, and iteration you can add up to any amount that if you want to run it for many time, you can add this. So I want to run it 3 times, and the delay between each request. So each iterations you can put some milliseconds, so around let's put some 20 milliseconds or 200 milliseconds. Advanced settings you can add stop running if an error occurs, keep variable values, run collection with using stored cookies, and there are other configuration we can add. Persist response for a session, turn off locks during the run, so you can add these as well. So run this collection and see. If you see here, so we can see a summary of a test. Here you can see all the tests passed, failed, and skipped. Since our all API events condition was less than 20 millisecond, but we got 79 and 24. So 71 and 24, that's higher than 20 milliseconds, therefore we got failed. But other endpoints, other API requests, we got 200. Since we got 200, that test is passed. Okay, we can see all the test results: fail, pass, fail, pass. You can see post request, we got that. All right, and so yeah, that is fine regarding the test. We all runs. So we can see override functional results for this particular collection, and so if you see here, run again, so even API run history, run result, so we can see everything. Let's try to add another endpoint and see. Another main endpoint that we are going to use during this course is error endpoint. Let's try API/error. So we're going to add a new request here. Base URL, I'm very lazy to type, so error, this is the URL name, API error. Yes, let's call this endpoint, and it's a get request. What will happen? Alright, this is a specific endpoint that we have created for testing errors, and it will come up with an error because that's how we designed it. So okay, internal error, and that we got these 2 results failed. Okay, because this particular event will run up with an error, because that we will fix in upcoming session. So since our response is 500, so we are expecting 200, and milliseconds 419 milliseconds expected, but we we expected 20 milliseconds, but we got 419. We got that error as well, and yeah, that's all. So we got this error, and make sure that this particular error detail we are not allowed to public. Okay, so this is may use for our internal testing purposes to fix the issues and errors or bugs in our application. So therefore make sure that these error details not visible to the public. So we will do these changes in upcoming session. So in this demo, so we have covered how to handle collection, so how to create a collection, how to add the authorization, how to add variables and share among the each request, and that can be maybe initial or current values that can be used for different purposes like sharing with others and all these details. So these are the collections concept, and we have did scripts for individual request or maybe the collection testing, so that can be do for multiple iterations and a variable scenario, and we can repeat the testing. So by one click we can do all kind of testing for our particular collections. So these are the stuff we have discussed. At last we can, so from the beginning I was talking about sharing, right? So we want to see how we can share our collection. We can simply click the collection what we are going, where we want to we can before that we can make it a star that will be on top of your collection list always inside a workspace. Now if you want to share that particular collection with your team, you can click that share button, share option. You have to click that collection and share. Then you will get this kind of window. There you can provide the name. So if you have created the team already, that group name, then be a group, you can share with that group or particular email or someone, because since it's an organization, so you have already registered the employees there. So by searching the, because you have already in a workspace, you have all the employees under that workspace already saved. So you can, by searching their name or email or group, you can simply share that with others. All right. Or else there are other options like move this collection to a new team workspace, as I mentioned earlier, and convert this into a team workspace. Likewise, there are a lot of sharing option. So that's it, and there are other ways that we can share it. So since these options what we have seen here, you can share the collection online. But if you want to share it manually, you can have option like export. You just export this, export as collection version 2.1. This is recommended one. So export, and it will ask for a location where you want to save it. I just put my, I'm just sharing on desktop. Okay, just done. So if you see here, desktop, it's there. It will be a JSON file. Okay, that should be, can be shared with anyone, and also that will be JSON format, and you can share with anyone manually anyway in using, without directly sharing the online and other stuff you can. So if someone shared your collection, so now we have shared that collection. So if you are a user, you are going to use some shared collection, you have to use this import option. You can select a collection that someone shared with you earlier by URL or raw text or URL, or else you have, if they are shared as a file, you can select a file or folder. And for my scenario, just selecting the desktop one, because since I already shared there, you just need to open. But since it's shared by me, I'm not importing it. So this is how it works. So how to create a collection, how to import a collection, and what are the things and functionalities we can do inside the collection, how we can automate the testing and all, we have discussed in this demo. We will discuss some new topic in upcoming demo. That's all. I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you have any comments, if you had any queries, you can put inside the comment section. That's all about today's demo. See you all on next video. Thank you.